Hey, Captains, this is the spring 2025 Indoor Soccer Intramural Sports Makeup Captains Meeting. Let's dive right in. I'm Dan Payne. I am the coordinator for sports programs, and I'm going to go through this presentation with you today. You're going to be working with me this season. You'll be working with Tyler Lowe primarily this season. He's our graduate assistant for sports programs, and he's going to be your primary source of contact, whether for games, schedules, issues you're going to have, or anything like that. Today, we're going to talk about three main things, three sections: intramural basics, indoor soccer rules that we use, and sportsmanship. So we always start off with captain's responsibilities, and one of the first things we say is we really appreciate the captain stepping up and being leaders of your team. There's a lot of responsibilities for the captain. We kind of treat you as a liaison between our office and your team. And so you have a lot of things that we ask you to do. You're inviting and confirming players to your team. You're making sure everyone is eligible on your team. You have to know a little bit more about the intramural policies and the sport rules. You're planning things, so making sure everyone can be at your game on time and that kind of thing. Sportsmanship, you're setting a good example with that, and you're kind of enforcing our expectations on that. And if we do have forfeit fees, then we do expect y'all to pay those. We start basic. Intramural sports, it's really a place to just play for fun. We want you to be involved with something on campus, something that can build some community, and play recreationally, in a safe environment, in a fair environment. And actually, believe it or not, you're supposed to be learning something by participating in our programs. We have to prove that, actually. And so that's part of the college experience as well. Of course, at sports, we want you to have fun. We want you to celebrate with your team. But that competition part is great too. It's inherent in sports. But for our leagues, winning is completely secondary. So it's supposed to be recreational for fun. We don't want you to taunt the other team. There's no trash talk. There's no talking bad about the refs or anything like that. We want to leave all that out of our leagues. So let's talk about some policies that you're going to need to know, some eligibility stuff first. For your teammates, they have to be students at MTSU or faculty staff at MTSU. So students that are taking 1 credit hour, that's all they have to take, they can play intramural sports. Varsity players can't play intramural sports in soccer. So like members of the women's varsity soccer team here at MTSU, the varsity team, they can't participate in intramural soccer. Free agents, put a plug in for free agents always, because there are several people who are signed up right now that don't have a team, and those people could be really skilled, or they could be really recreational and they just want to meet people. And we really want to try to get those people involved as quickly as possible. So I really encourage you to reach out to those people if you're looking for another person. For indoor soccer, guests are not allowed. So like I said, they have to be a student at MTSU or faculty staff at MTSU. So just because they can get into the building doesn't mean they're eligible to play intramural sports. Our sport is broken down by leagues. Our leagues are gender-based, and so we'll have like a men's league, we have a fraternity league, a co-rec league, and everyone can play in one single gender league and one co-ed league. So you're not allowed to sign up on a men's team and a fraternity team. You can't sign up on a women's team and a sorority team, and you can't sign up for 2 co-rec teams. You can sign up for 1 co-rec team and 1 men's team, or 1 co-rec team and 1 women's team. All right, continuing on with some policies. We say game time is forfeit time. For intramural sports, we'll typically play 4 games a night on the hour, and so there's a schedule that we really have to keep. And this is, believe it or not, part of the thing you're supposed to be learning by participating in us is how to follow through with a commitment, how to be somewhere on time that someone is relying you to be. So we say game time is forfeit time. Please show up and be ready for your game at the time it says on your schedule, or you could forfeit. Everyone has to be on the team roster in Fusion Play before they can play in any matches. And so the more you can add your players ahead of time, the easier it's going to be, because there's always going to be issues when adding someone. And so some of those issues we can't really solve at the game site. And if you do it at the last minute, then there's a chance those people might not be able to play. So when you get there for your game, you'll check in with our staff. Every individual person on your team will need to bring their MTSU ID or the Get mobile app and to check in. And each person will do that, and they'll check you off. So we have these things called defaults and forfeits, and this is our way of really trying to get people to show up on time. So we get that everyone's busy. It's a busy semester. You have a lot on your plate, a lot of priorities, but the nature of our programs means that it relies on two groups to be able to attend, to even participate at all. And so when one group doesn't show up, that really disadvantages the other group, and it sucks. It really sucks to show up for a game and the other team not show up, and now you don't have anything to do or anyone to play. So we're really trying to avoid that. So we want you to be aware when somebody can't attend a game, and maybe you're not going to have enough players on your team. And if you don't have enough players for your game that night, then we want you to tell us. And we want you to tell us by 3:30 on the day of your game. And if you do that, we'll record that game as a default. So it'll still go as a loss against your record, but you don't get fined. You get a better sportsmanship rating. And it's just a good thing to do to tell the other team that they don't have to come. We can tell our staff you can leave early or come in later as well. The forfeit is the flip side of that. That's when you don't tell us by 3:30 that your team can't make it. And so we're expecting you and the other team's expecting you. And again, that totally sucks if you don't show up and the other team's expecting you. So a forfeit's a pretty big consequence. It goes down as a loss. You have a very low sportsmanship rating, and that's hard to come back from. You'll be fined $40. And if you default or forfeit again after your first forfeit, then your team's just going to be removed from the league. Those are some basic intramural policies. All of our other intramural policies are located online on our website. Feel free to look those up at any time. Now let's dive into the specific indoor soccer rules that we use for our leagues. So we play 6-on-6. That's including the goalies, so everyone has to have 4 players to start. So you can play 4-on-6, 5-on-6, or 6-on-6. If you're playing in a co-rec league, there are certain gender ratios that you have to maintain. So if you're playing with 6 players, you have to have 3 and 3 on the field at all times. If you're playing with 5, you have to have 3 and 2. If you're playing with 4, you have to have 2 and 2. You can never play with 4 guys and 2 girls, or 4 girls and 2 guys. We play 2 20-minute halves, and so the clock's just going to run continuously. There's no timeouts in indoor soccer, and unless there's an injury or something that the staff need to stop the clock for, they can do that. We don't have overtime in the regular season. We will end in draws, but when the playoffs come around, we will have overtime, and we'll send out some information about what those rules will be like. We have a couple mercy rules in our league, and they're mostly there because a lot of teams don't really want to play if they're losing by a lot. So we have 2 in indoor soccer. We say 10-10 and 5-5. So that means if there's a 10-goal differential with 10 minutes left in the match, then the game's over, or a goal differential of 5 with 5 minutes left in the match. Equipment, so you should wear different colors. We do have pennies to check out if you're wearing the same color as the other team, and then the goalkeepers have to be identifiable, so they have to wear a different color. They can wear gloves, but they have to wear a different color shirt than the rest of their team, and a different color shirt than the other team as well. One of the big intramural policies that's across the board for all of our sports is jewelry. We don't allow any jewelry, and it's strictly a safety policy, and we are very strict on this. We tell our staff to be strict on this. So this includes any piercings, any wristbands, necklaces, they have to come off. And it doesn't really matter if you just got it pierced and the hole's going to close up. They have to take it off or they can't play. It's very, very simple. If someone does have a medical alert bracelet or a medical alert necklace or something like that, they can wear those, but they have to tape them down to their body, and they need to inform the staff if they're going to do that. Substitutions for indoor soccer happen on the fly. Just remember that the person leaving the field of play has to leave before that new person comes on. And the substitution areas in the indoor soccer arena are the goals behind the goals. So just be careful when you're substituting in there. It's a small area. And again, the person coming off has to be completely off before that other person coming on. But it is free substitutions. You don't have to inform the referees that you're going to sub. Okay, for the indoor soccer arena, the ball goes out of play if it hits the netting or if it hits the ceiling. Okay, so the officials will stop play. If it does that, they'll whistle, and we'll just restart from a kick-in. We don't have throw-ins. It's just a kick-in. Take it within 1 yard of where it went out of bounds. And the officials don't have to whistle for you to restart play, and opponents just need to respect a 2 yard distance for that. Goals can be scored directly from a kickoff in indoor soccer. Please try, that's fun. We don't have offside, obviously it's indoor, it's a small field, so we don't have to worry about that. We do 7 yards for the wall, so any type of free kicks or anything like that, if the defense is asking for a wall, it'll be a 7 yards back because, again, smaller field. There's no slide tackles whatsoever. This is very strict. We tell our staff, very strict. We want you guys to play on your feet. Do not go to the ground, ever. Never go to the ground. I know it's going to be hard for people who played soccer their whole lives or for a long time. It's inherent, but it is such a massive safety risk for people to slide. For one thing, that turf is not very forgiving. It will hurt if you slide. So please stay on your feet for that. Plus, again, we cater towards recreational players, and so we really want to make sure everyone's staying safe because sliding can be dangerous for the person sliding, but also for the opponents of that. And so stay on your feet the whole time. Slide tackles are automatic yellow cards without warning. This is your warning right now. Please enforce this with your teams. We do have penalties if there's a situation that calls for it, but we don't play it from the spot, the penalty spot, like that little circle there, as you can see on the screen. We play it from the top of the box just because it's a little too close for the penalty spot. That's it for the indoor soccer specific rules that we use. Again, there's way more, and they're available online as well. All right, we're going to talk about sportsmanship, and first we'll talk about why our program exists. So I mentioned this before, you're supposed to be learning something by participating in our programs. Here's a couple of things you're supposed to be learning: accountability and commitment. You signed up your team, we want you to come to the captain's meeting. And without coming to the captain's meeting, you're kind of failing that commitment learning outcome. So luckily for you, we give you a second chance for this online option. Communication is big. We need you to communicate. We ask you to communicate back and forth if you have issues, if you need to default, that kind of thing. And then sportsmanship is probably the most important one, and that's the one we're going to dive into a little bit more. So for every match, your team is going to get a sportsmanship rating. And that sportsmanship rating is on a 0 to 10 scale. And so 10 is the best. And that means everyone was really respectful. You're out there for the right reasons, just trying to have a good time. Winning can be important to you, that's fine, but it doesn't affect your actions or your judgment or anything like that. And all the way down to a 0 is a game ender because of the behavior was just atrocious. Some sportsmanship specifics are you have to have a 7.0 sportsmanship average at the end of the regular season to qualify for the playoffs. And then again, a reminder, forfeits are a 3.0 sportsmanship score, so that makes it really difficult just by the math to be able to get into the playoffs, because every team's going to have roughly 4 matches during the season. And so just by the math, it makes it hard to get in with a forfeit on your record. A couple of things to think about with sportsmanship is dealing with your emotions. That's the first one. So we talk about competition a lot, and we want you to really help us recognize in other people and set a good example for your teammates. And one of the ways to do that is how to behave when you're in that competitive moment. And so we expect people to still be in control of their actions, be in control of their words during those competitive moments, even if it's really competitive. And so being a sore winner and a sore loser is a good example. When you win, are you the person that rubs it into the other team? Do you taunt the other team? Or are you just celebrating with your team? We want you to celebrate with your team. We don't want you to taunt or trash talk the other team. When you lose, are you the person that complains? Are you the person that just blames the refs because of your loss? Are you the person that blames some of your other teammates because of your loss? So these are kind of a couple of things we want you guys to work on as you're participating in our events. Young people are going to make mistakes. We understand that. Again, you're here to learn these things. And so we know you're going to make mistakes. So this is supposed to be a safe place to do it. And we really need your help to promote these expectations. So set a good example for your teams and really help identify when someone might be struggling with this. If someone's having a bad game and maybe the skill is fine there, but their attitudes are really bad, they're just blaming everybody the whole time. Or they're being really loud and they're starting to be more and more physical every time. We expect you as captains to identify those people and maybe sub them out or talk to them to calm them down before things get out of hand. This is a simple message for sportsmanship. It's things you can't do. Again, we want you guys to have fun, right? We want you to celebrate with your teams and enjoy your time out there with the fans or with your teammates. So these are just a couple of simple things that you can't do. You can't fight, you can't harass, you can't taunt, and you can't threaten anybody. And if you avoid those 4 things, you should have fun and you should be fine. Couple of accountability things for sportsmanship. We do have yellow and red cards for soccer. So the yellow cards, that's the unsporting act issue. Dissent, that kind of thing will be a yellow card. We do give yellow cards for jewelry and slide tackles, like I said before. So again, this is kind of your warning on jewelry. If you're playing with jewelry, we're just going to give you a yellow card. Red cards are the really bad ones. Those are the ejections. 2 yellow cards equals a red card. You can get a straight red card if the foul or the issue was blatant enough or disrespectful enough or something like that. Anytime anyone's been ejected, you'll get suspended from intramural sports and you'll have to meet with me. We do partner with Student Care and Conduct. Unfortunately, I do have to send names to them every season. And that could get somebody in trouble on the university level for something that happens in intramural sports. So I really hope we don't have to do that this year. Please remind your teams of that. Fans do affect your sportsmanship rating. So if fans are going to be really out of control or really obnoxious or really disrespectful, we're just going to ask them to leave. We're going to ask them to leave the arena. There are spots for fans in the arena. And this goes for benches too. This goes up for your space in there. Clean up after yourselves, please. If you don't, we shouldn't have to tell you this. You're not in middle school anymore. Clean up after yourselves. Last few things are the schedules are going to come out Friday of this week. We actually play a 4-week regular season, not a 6-week regular season. And then playoffs are going to start April 1st. And then we check out our website again. There's that contact info for our other resources. Follow us on Instagram there. That's Tyler's email and phone number there at the bottom. If you have any questions, you can contact him or me. And then fill out the test to complete this portion of the Makeup Captain's Meeting. Thanks a lot. Let us know if you have any questions and have a great season.